What if I say the backbone of the US economy is falling apart? Within the last 2 months, 3 American banks have come crashing down. US regulators are now racing to rescue the 14th largest bank of the country, the First Republic Bank. Millions of Americans use its services. If the bank collapses, these millions will lose their money. To prevent that, the Treasury Department and the Federal Reserve are making joint efforts to rescue the bank. But how did the crisis break out? After the collapse of the SVB and Signature Bank, panicky customers of the Republic Bank withdrew almost $100 billion in deposits. To plug the hole left by the ongoing bank run, the bank resorted to taking costly loans from Federal Reserve and Federal Home Loan Bank. This further aggravated the Republic Bank's woes and led to its collapse. Since March, the bank shares have lost around 97% of their value. So, who is responsible for this economic mess? Biden? No. It is the Trump administration. The whole liberal ecosystem, including CNN and Forbes, is now trying its best to put the blame for economic crisis on Donald Trump, who left the White House almost 2 years back. Look at this report. US Fed is pointing finger at Trump administration for SVB collapse. Then we have Biden's official mouthpieces, CNN and Forbes, peddling the same narrative. To put things on record, here are all the banking reforms that were undertaken by the Trump administration back in 2018, almost 5 years back. Now, the fundamental question is, if these reforms were detrimental, why did not the Biden administration repeal them? After all, he repealed Trump's policy on climate change. He repealed other hundreds of policies of the Trump administration, and rightly so. But why not the banking reforms? Earlier, it was the SVB executives that Biden blamed for the bank collapse. The Federal Bank said the bank allowed glaring problems to build up before the run on deposits last month that left the once high-flying bank insolvent and shook the global financial system. It is clear the administration is confused as to who to blame for the banking crisis. They are simply politicizing the crisis to subdue Biden's political headache. But in its latest report released last week, the Fed has finally admitted its fault. The Fed wrote in its report, SVB's failure demonstrates that there are weaknesses in regulation and supervision that must be addressed. The report also highlighted that underlying cultural issues at the Fed, where supervisors were unwilling to take strict action on bank management when they saw growing problems. Hopefully, this is enough to put the entire debate to an end. Biden is steering the US economy towards a 2008-like banking crisis. By engaging in massive state-funded bank rescues, the government is simply putting the whole US economy at stake. And before the doomsday arrives, Biden and company are desperate to find their sacrificial lamb. For them, Biden is the holy cow, a cow that is easy to tame and easy to control for the invisible masters of America.